Hey, what's up, fellas? In this video we're taking a look at a new design that I've built for Scott and Rhonda, two customers that are looking to burn some dirty waste oil, and that requires some special details that got to be implemented to get this to work. So this is the first phase of the test. We make a little bit of a change halfway through the video to slow this thing down a bit because it is at cast iron smelting forces right now, and we're just trying to heat some stuff up. We don't want to melt everything. Doing this video for Scott and some of my other waste oil heater and waste oil cast iron smelting customers. Now this is a smaller version of a new design that I've been working on, and I wanted to show him this one first before I send off a model that he's already purchased from me. This is my latest design. It's far more efficient, it burns a lot cleaner, and it's definitely more bang for the buck. So let's take a look at this thing. Essentially what we have is a oil pump. We got 5 gallons of oil, and we have a leaf blower to run this thing. And the reason we're doing that is that the typical blower used on a combustion system would run you anywhere from $250 to $2,000. This cost us like 35 bucks, I think. All right, guys, so this is some really cold, dirty waste oil, and I noticed the first time I tried to light this thing that it's extremely nozzly. Not only does it have a little bit too much thrust for a heater, but it's a little bit harder to light than it should be because this nozzle I have on here is too small. Halfway through the video, I decided to change that nozzle to a larger 2.5-inch nozzle. Well, I'm talking about the discharge nozzle on the burner here, not the oil atomization nozzles. So it does light up fairly easily with this smaller nozzle, but like I said, we're not melting cast iron here. I'm trying to build a heater, and this thing appears to be configured for smelting cast iron, and I noticed that fairly quickly through the test. But I just wanted to show you guys the ignition procedure on this thing and kind of what it looks like. It's got a little bit too much thrust. That is a 2-inch nozzle we currently have on there, and we're going to be moving up. So essentially one of the first things that I noticed was this thing is just a bit too thrusty. It would be a great cast iron smelter for sure. I'm trying it on different settings here. This is full air power from that leaf blower. That's a lot of air, guys. And the fact that we're not experiencing a flame out under those conditions is saying a lot about the temperature capabilities of this setup. So when it comes to smelting cast iron, this will definitely be the discharge nozzle of choice, but it's too aggressive for a shop heater. So we're gonna have to change that. And this is just me kind of setting this particular nozzle on different settings. You can see here it does have a very broad turn down ratio. And most impressively is how forgiving this thing is, even with this high flow nozzle, or high velocity nozzle I should call it. More of a high velocity nozzle than a high flow, but it's just not what we're looking for here. We're getting a little bit of smoke because this is cold oil and I don't have an oil preheater, and it's come to find out that's something that's absolutely essential on this waste oil. If you want to get it to burn right and the best way possible, these spray nozzles cannot atomize cold oil. So you come in the morning to fire up your shop heater and you get a needle jet of oil spraying out of the nozzle. So you have to heat this oil to do it like this. Now, I sell compressor-based combustion systems that don't have any of these problems, but they're very loud and you need quite the air compressor. This is just me going through the paces. This is one of the lowest flame sizes I was able to get, but I believe that's full air power right there. Okay, fellas, so thus far this thing would make an amazing cast iron smelting burner, but the person who needs this is using it for pyrolysis heating. So I need to reduce the turbo effect here. We're going to go to a 2-inch nozzle. We're going to take this, or the 2.5-inch, I'm sorry. Okay, we still have the 1.5 gallon per hour, 80-degree nozzle in place. Or we've swapped out the 2-inch discharge nozzle for the 2.5. We're going to see if this gives us any performance gains, or at least does something better for the purpose intended. The last nozzle worked great for smelting and stuff like that, was not good for heating. Wow. That's a lot better for what I got going on. We can reduce the size of that too as soon as it gets hot. So it lit right up. It lit like a candle. That's the first thing I'm noticing here. And this is the 1.5 gallon per hour nozzle. That right there is about the size flame I'm looking for. So just changing out that front nozzle gave us what we need. So we're running rock solid here. This thing's been running for quite a while. I'm gonna go get a beer keg for testing and get the wattage. So this is kind of the setup I got in mind for you, Scott. I've made a little bit of a mess of the test rig here, but this thing is running really good with an oil preheater. We have a beautiful flame going inside of this thing. I have a fire brick target in the back. You can see we have no smoke whatsoever. Completely smoke-free combustion. And without this oil preheater, that's pretty much impossible. Definitely want to make sure this thing stays nice and warm. Oh yeah, she's staying hot. Not so much down below. Cold as can be right here. That is red hot though. So Rhonda, if you see this, this is also going to be what you're getting as well for your pyrolysis process. This is about the size of the firebox you described to me. So I think this thing's gonna be perfect. I can barely hear the thing. That's the coolest part about it. I'm gonna get some thermocouples going and stuff, and we're gonna let this thing run a while and see what happens. Okay, I've been running for 45 minutes and we used that much oil out of this 5-gallon tank. I'm right here, 45 minutes of run time. It's getting so hot, it's melting the fire brick. Look at that. Dang fire brick's melting. That's 2,400 degree rated fire brick, so we're gonna have to have a pretty good fire brick shield in there when we do this. I mean, that's kind of impressive that that melted that bad. Not too shabby. Definitely overheating just a tad bit as a result, but I'm just gonna let this thing run till that tank's empty. Oh, wow. This thing. So, can't remember if this is 2200 degree fire brick or 2400 degree rated. Either way, for any of you guys interested in doing cast iron, I just melted fire brick. This fire brick started to melt in about 45 minutes. Can't get a big piece of that. Completely vitrified it. Here's my experimental refractory. And it was right there in the blaze too. It held up nicely. This brick did not melt, whereas the one on the other side did for sure. I'll see if I can pull a clip of that out. Anyway, I'm going to reset that up, and I'm going to take all this out of here and build a stand for this thing and clean it up and try it one more time with the stand. This stuff needs to be filtered, or you need to have some kind of bottom sump. Look at this sludge that's in this oil. And after you burn through 10-20 gallons of it, that sludge can become a substantial problem. So you have to use a centrifugal filter sometimes to get that sludge out. So if you're going to use this for a heating application, you can't just throw dirty oil in a tank and pump it into the system. Even with the filter, this filter is getting so clogged up with sludge that it won't pump anymore after, say, 30 gallons of oil or so. Unless you have another pump pressing the oil through the filter, which is kind of advised. This is just kind of a siphon deal. I should raise this tank up, but I just wanted to show that to you guys, that the oil does need pre-filtered before being used on a system like this. So there you have it, fellas. When it comes to burning waste oil for heat or any reliability condition, you have to love it. You got to talk to it, spend time with it, or else it'll get angry with you and ruin your life. So we're going to get back to this.